Welcome home, brave heroes. I am Ash. This is Ash Quest, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another podcast-styled episode of the BwodeCast. This is a long-form series where we talk about all things HeroQuest and dungeon crawling adjacent. Today, I don't have a topic prepared. I'm mostly just coming back from my full weekend of work. It's the first weekend in several weeks where I had to work all 3 of my 12-hour days. That's my normal schedule, just for context, but I had generally been working just 2 12-hour days because of the holidays and time off and things like that, and so I was pretty exhausted when I got home last night. Getting back into the swing of things should not be a problem, but I probably walked more last night in the entirety of yesterday than I have walked in the past week, all days combined. It was ridiculous. I usually start these off with the same spiel. These are basically intended to be heard rather than seen, so graphically, minimally invasive, very small editing, very non-intensive editing, not a lot of effort put into something that is meant to be very chill for me to create, chill for you to listen to. And these are best enjoyed while you are perhaps on the way to work or building Magic the Gathering decks. I've heard that people like to fold their laundry, and someone the other day told me that they like to avoid their laundry while listening to these. So I hope that helps you avoid your laundry. That's fair. That's valid. So since I don't have a topic prepared, I really kind of wanted to just jump into this, and this being Humble Bundle, which is a website that allows you to purchase bundles of software, sometimes digital goods like pages or entire ebooks or collections of graphics, things like that. And they have different bundles. They have several bundles running at any given time. And today they have something called the Play Pink Twin Sales Interactive Bundle, or the Play Pink Bundle for BCRF presented by Twin Sales Interactive. And Humble Bundle basically allows you to make a donation. And while there are different tiers that kind of allow you to control what you'll get in return for your donation, generally you can donate whatever you want and you're going to get something back out of it. You can also control what percentage of your donation goes to the software developer or ebook author or whoever the designer of the end product is, versus Humble Bundle's own website, their own platform, and their staff. And this is a cornerstone of what Humble Bundle is, the given charity that particular bundle represents. So you could go ahead and throw $30 onto a bundle of software or games or whatever, and you can say everybody gets $10. All 3 of those different entities are going to get $10. Or you can say 2 of them are getting $1 and the last one's getting $28. So you could say whatever you want and allocate the funds however you'd like. But the Play Pink for BCRF, that's Breast Cancer Research Foundation bundle, includes board games that have been video gamified. And that's kind of where I wanted to land this topic. And the topic for today, we're going to look at the games that come with this, and I really wanted to introduce Humble Bundle to you because it's a really, really great website to keep tabs on and keep an eye on. So humblebundle.com, watch this space. Every once in a while, you may see something that is role-playing game related, TTRPG materials, even though they're digital. I know a lot of folks who actually like to have this stuff digitally so they can create their characters digitally, so they can reference stuff from their mobile device while they're in the middle of a D&D game rather than lug around 50 pounds of books. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people who prefer the physical, and as far as I'm concerned, I vastly prefer whatever is more physical, be it dungeon crawler, TTRPG, what have you, versus a video game counterpart. But also the video games can help you learn how to play some of these games. Some of these games are kind of different than their video game counterparts. Sometimes the video game counterpart is like just an interpretation that has most of the rules and like the gist of the game, but there are subtle differences, sometimes major differences. Case in point, the Warhammer Quest video games are somewhat sort of kind of like their board game counterparts. They kind of play out the same way. You can definitely roll terribly the same way, but there are substantial differences between them. So one's not necessarily going to teach you verbatim how to play the other one-to-one, but you will definitely have familiarity. Other games like Talisman's Digital Edition, that'll pretty much teach you how to play Talisman. I mean, it's a pretty faithful board game experience. Anyways, today on Humble Bundle and the Play Pink Bundle particularly, which these are timed bundles. This one ends in 18 days. You actually have a lot of time left to check this one out. This one comes with some board games, or video gamified board games, as I said. And there's a 2-item bundle, which you can get for $1. If you pay up to $5, you'll get the 5-item bundle. You'll get the 34-item bundle if you pay at least $10, and you'll get the entire 35-item bundle if you pay at least $20. And this bundle comes with Gloomhaven. So for $20, you can have Gloomhaven, which I believe you would be able to redeem on Steam, which of course is a video game and software platform, where keys that you turn in, keys that you activate on the platform, they tie the game to your account, so you'll always be able to download from Steam that particular game. Gloomhaven solo scenarios and what they call mercenary challenges are part of this bundle. The Enchanted game, actually I want to go backwards here. I want to start at the 2-item bundle and tell you about what you'll get if you just pay $1. And this is going to cross over into Amalgam Ash territory. This is going to cross over into video game territory, but we're not going to linger on video games. We're really just going to talk about what you get, value for the money. And at the end of this, and really throughout, I'd like to ask you, what video game version of a dungeon crawler or any other board game really have you found to be fun? Was it pretty well representative of the same experience that you would get from playing the board game? Was it done well? Was it done respectfully? Did they do justice to the overall dungeon crawl or board game mechanic that makes you a fan of the game in general? Good examples of games that are pretty close to their board game counterparts could be here in this bundle. We did talk about Warhammer Quest. I really enjoy Warhammer Quest as a board game. I also really enjoy Warhammer Quest as a video game. I don't think they scratch the same itch for me, but I think that's a subjective thing. So there's plenty of people who will have differing views on that, perhaps. Warhammer Quest 2 seems to be completely disregarding any of Warhammer Quest's rules. So I don't know. I don't have that game yet. I need to play Warhammer Quest 1, or the first one, more, get far in it, get really comfy with like a gameplay loop that helps me feel like I'm actually leveling my characters and getting stronger, versus getting trashed and getting dunked on. And then I'll play Warhammer Quest 2 and see how it stacks up. I've talked to Seek Hashem, shout out to Seek, on different Warhammer interpretations, different video games that are Warhammer based. And there are a ton of Warhammer video games out there now. I think my favorite's always going to be Warhammer Vermintide 2, which is not based on any board game whatsoever, but just the gameplay of it is just a ton of fun. It's rewarding to me. It's lovely to be in that violent, bleak Warhammer universe. It's lovely to feel the creeping crawl of chaos slowly emerging and taking over all of the people, even though we're supposed to be the heroes. I just love that. Plus, there's just thousands and thousands of Skaven in that game. So, proof that Skaven exists? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's all a big cover-up. But as far as Warhammer games that are supposed to represent board games go, there are just precious few. There are a lot of mobile apps that are named for Warhammer games, but they don't really respect that particular board game's rule set and gameplay flow. We have Silver Tower, which, as of the recording of this video, I don't remember if it's on the Play Store or not still. I think there were some things that were taken off the Play Store, but I'm not going to say what. I don't want to get totally confused on what those things are. But if I go ahead and grab my phone and I look up Warhammer, immediately in the Play Store, I see Warhammer 40k Tacticus is out, Chaos and Conquest, 40k Warpforge, 40k the app, so that's got to be a companion app, right? Something that helps you keep track of what you're doing in your 40k games. 40k Lost Crusade, 40k Freeblade, Warhammer Horus Heresy Legions. We've got Age of Sigmar Soul Arena. Games Workshop has a few of these published. A lot of these are from other companies though too, so I'm not sure on their legitimacy, or if they were just licensed out and those developers got to play with the Warhammer IP and make a game about them. Warhammer Quest 2 End Times, that's the one that's really got very little to do with the board game, but it does play top down on tiled pieces and with a fog of war mechanic, kind of like the board game, the Dungeon Crawler from 95. Age of Sigmar, there's something called Warhammer Combat Cards 40k. The first Warhammer Quest seems to be out, or maybe I'm just looking at what's already on my device. And you could get wildly different results if you look it up, but that's just an example of some of the games that are out. A friend and a fellow viewer, mutual viewer, I should say, Free Wada, he is playing Warhammer Total War, I believe it's Total War. Is there a second Total War game? He's playing whatever the newer one is, and every scene that plays out in that looks like it's supposed to be a pretty good representation of a typical Warhammer Fantasy Battles fight campaign session. I don't know if that's true, but it looks fun in and of itself. But back to Humble Bundle, Love Letter is one of the games that you'll get if you want to just pay $1 or at least anything less than $5. You'll also get Splendor, and Splendor looks to be more of a visual novel, but this is published by Asmodee, so I don't really want to go through and look at the video. I want to see gameplay. Here we go. It is kind of a card game, it looks like. Resource management and card game. The official digital adaptation of the best-selling board game Splendor. I've never even heard of Splendor, so this actually gives me a chance to get introduced to new games. The other one here, Love Letter, no, it's not visual novel at all. You only ever have 2 cards in your hand. Draw and play your cards to get closer to the princess. Everyone staying in the castle could aid you in their own way. Guards and princes can help discredit letters from other suitors. Priests will give you precious information about your rivals, while the handmaiden will protect your letter at any cost. As the game progresses, you'll have to think strategically, bluff, and try to read your opponent's game. When the deck is used up, the card in your hand will be the character holding your letter for the princess. The strongest card, in other words, the character who's closest to the princess, wins. That's very interesting. I bet that has a lot of really cool strategy to it. I would be absolutely interested in giving that a try. 5-item bundle comes with Carcassonne, and this caught my eye immediately because I have the physical Carcassonne. I've got the big box edition that has 11 of the numerous expansions. This game is a classic. You lay down tiles, you put down meeples, you try to claim points and territories, and you continue to expand the board by laying down tiles that match along the edges. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of innocent, competitive fun. During a game of Carcassonne, players are faced with decisions like, is it really worth putting my last meeple there? Or, should I use this tile to expand my city, or should I place it near my opponent instead, making it harder for him to complete his goal and score points? Since players place only one tile and have the option to place one meeple on it, turns proceed quickly, even if it is a game full of options and possibilities. Yeah. $5 gets you Carcassonne, which is subtitled here as Tiles and Tactics, but that is the base game in video game form. And you also get Small World. Small World is a game that I recognize as a board game. Control fantasy races, set off to conquer new lands, overthrow your enemies, and claim the victory. In this digital adaptation of the legendary board game, dive into a world inhabited by whimsical fantasy races. Take control of the dwarfs, wizards, Amazons, giants, orcs, or even humans. Even humans? You can even be a human in Small World. Wow. It really is a small world. Then send out your troops to battle mercilessly and conquer new regions. Make shrewd use of the special powers of your races to expand your empire and win the game. If I played Small World, I'd be able to tell you if I liked it. But if I liked it, I would probably grab the World of Warcraft edition of Small World. And I could kind of see myself doing that anyway, since I have the World of Warcraft adventure game sitting up high on my shelf. Yes, one of these days I'm going to open it up and review it and all of that good stuff. All that stuff back there is getting reviewed. And I'm on my way to doing it. I've unboxed Bloodborne. I've unboxed HeroQuest. I just unboxed Legend of Zagor. Truth be told, I didn't actually unbox it. Not recently anyway. I unboxed it when I first got the game over a year ago on Amalgamash, and that video didn't really take off. It didn't do well. It was whatever. People were kind of interested. I piqued a few interests. I raised a few eyebrows, but I decided to redo the audio for that video and repost it here on AshQuest. And man, it took off. That video outperformed so many of the videos I do here normally. It's ridiculous. Carcassonne, though, awesome game. I really, really recommend it. And it's really accessible. It's really easy to get a hold of. It's cheap. All the tiles and everything just have this lovely medieval fantasy feel to them, even if there's no races like orcs, goblins, and all that. It's just putting stuff down and trying to build this maybe realistic medieval kingdom. You could apply your own fantasy elements to it. Imperial Dreams is a 2D physics-based precision platformer. We're going to skip the description on that. We don't really mind seeing that in here with our games, but chances are, if you're watching this, then Splendor, Carcassonne, and Small World are more up your alley. $5 for these 3 board games, and for something like Love Letter, which could be a really fun romp through just having 2 cards in your hand and making choices, learning what mechanics this game has, and then taking them for your own homebrew, that sort of thing I think is more than worth $5. This is a great price for this. If you pay up to $10, or I should say at least, if you pay at least $10, you'll get a lot of content, and it really makes it worth it. You're going to get all of the content that we've already talked about, plus you'll get a coupon for 30% off Jaws of the Lion. That's a Gloomhaven game. You'll get a 15% off coupon for Terraforming Mars. Even if you don't want the coupons, don't care. You're going to get Lord of the Rings Adventure Card Game Definitive Edition in digital form, the video game version of the adventure card game. Now, I don't know what this game is like. I don't know. It looks like it's laid out kind of like the Magic the Gathering tutorial that I've played, or perhaps the what's it called? Hearthstone, World of Warcraft Hearthstone, which, by the way, is a game that I would definitely collect and play. But that, and if you're curious about the retail prices, they're shown up here in the corners of each pop-out box here. Retail, this game is $20. That's how much the Lord of the Rings Adventure Card Game Definitive Edition video game is. And a lot of these you can play on Windows and Mac. So if you're a Mac user, you're not necessarily barred from this stuff. Gloomhaven, for example, play on Mac Windows. Splendor, this one is only playable on Windows. Love Letter, you can play on Windows and Mac. Small World, Windows and Mac. Carcassonne, you can play on just Windows. A shame to gatekeep the Mac users for that one. It's a lovely game. Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace. What is this? This is inspired by the award-winning board game franchise Arkham Horror. This is an investigation game with turn-based combat and is only playable on Windows, but it looks like it's more of a visual experience. Well, this is just the trailer. It could very well be played just like the board game. Yeah, it does kind of seem like it is supposed to be played with the board game in mind. Not that you have to have the board game, but that you're probably expected to follow rules that are similar to how the board game presents them. You will get DLC for Small World. So if you find Small World fun, there is the Cursed DLC, which has a retail price of only $2.99, but we're getting a bunch of these DLCs together, so this is an incredible bundle. You'll get 2 new race banners and tokens, kobolds and goblins. I know what I would do. Kobolds aren't necessarily cowards. They just like to work in teams. It takes 2 kobolds to occupy a region after you've conquered it. Love it. Nobody going to talk about the goblins? Oh, here we go. Hit a man while he's down. Goblins conquer in decline regions at 1 less cost. All right. I don't know how to play Small World, so I'm just reading here verbatim. Small World's Grand Dames expansion. You get gypsies, priestesses, and the ghostly white ladies. Those descriptions could all be kind of problematic, but I'm just reading them. Small World has a Be Not Afraid expansion, which has 5 new race banners, including barbarians, homunculi, leprechauns, pixies, and pygmies. Frankenstein's monster was a homunculus. Small World's Royal Bonus expansion. 3 new races, fawns, Igors, and sylphs, and 3 special powers. Small World's A Spider's Web expansion. This gives you ice witches, sling men, whatever those are, and skags, whatever those are. So you'll have a multitude of DLC for your Small World game. You'll also get expansions for Splendor, Trading Post Splendor, the Strongholds, and Cities of Splendor. Trading Posts, the Strongholds, and Cities of Splendor. They worded those inconsistently. They confused me. And again, I don't know how to play Splendor, but it looks like this really affects the main mechanics of the game, so it gives you a lot of more options to play. Now, Carcassonne expansions are numerous. There are so many, and they change the game in just the smallest ways. So you could play a game of Carcassonne at your table if you buy like the big box edition. Everything's all nice and separated out already, and it facilitates keeping it that way in the box. So you can play Carcassonne to teach your family or friends or whoever how to play, and then you can have another game. And in your second game, go ahead and play with one of the expansions, because it's very, very simple to introduce that singular mechanic to your existing game of Carcassonne. So play again. Everybody should get used to it after the one gameplay. Should by now have a pretty good idea of how to play Carcassonne, and then you can introduce another expansion the next time you play. If you're learning quickly, you can introduce 2 at a time. I mean, it's really, really simple stuff. But the River expansion is here as a DLC, which is normally $2.99 retail. The Inns and Cathedrals expansion, the Traders and Builders expansion, the Princess and the Dragon expansion, which is pretty exciting in my opinion. I did say earlier that there were no like fantasy races or anything, but the Dragon, the Princess and the Dragon came out after the Carcassonne big boxes, and is something you'd have to buy separately from the big box. But the Dragon's a pretty obvious giveaway that I'm wrong about. No fantasy. Love the mechanic introduced by this particular expansion, by the way. Carcassonne Winter Edition, which changes up the look of the board. I think that that's fantastic. I would imagine that costs more. It doesn't really cost a lot more, just another $1. It's $3.99 retail to get that skin. But it's not just a skin. It actually changes something about the game. A cold winter has hit Carcassonne. The citizens waste very little time before preparing hot beverages and sweet pastries. Life around Carcassonne slows down. Occasionally, the people catch a glimpse of a new character, the Gingerbread Man. The Gingerbread Man offers an additional possibility to score each time someone draws a Gingerbread Man tile. Wow. Then that's it for the Carcassonne expansions. You will get something called Blood Rage, the digital edition. In Blood Rage, the digital adaptation of the hit strategy board game, you lead a proud Viking clan in their final fight for glory and the rite of passage to Valhalla before the world finally comes to its fiery conclusion. So this is happening during Ragnarok. Take command of your warriors, pillage villages, make good use of gifts from the gods, and conquer your place with Odin in Valhalla. Now, not only do you get this game, which retails at $20, playable on Windows and Mac, you get a few DLCs for it. You get Mythical Monsters, you get Gods of Asgard, and you get Mystics of Midgard. So looks like the yellow, red, and blue DLCs, basically. I'm going to have to check this out and look more into it. Which really, I'm going to buy this bundle. I don't think I can keep from buying it. It has a lot of really cool stuff in here, and Gloomhaven's on my list anyway on another platform, but I'd really rather have it for PC so I can play it on the channel. In addition to playing the board game solo on the channel at some point. But the video game would be fun to jump into for like a live stream. But Blood Rage, yeah, and 3 DLCs, which retail at $4.99 a piece. Good value here. We're still in the $10 tier, by the way. We're still in the what you get for $10. A Game of Thrones, the board game digital edition. This game was played by the creators of Fire and Ice, the miniatures game, which is coming out, I believe, this year. I talked a little bit about it in my last BwodeCast, and I interviewed the creators, Nomad, right on the channel. They're super, super nice people, lovely people, and I'm really looking forward to Fire and Ice. I'm just looking forward to the presentation. I just want to have the beautiful art on the box on my shelf. I'll probably even stand the box upright. It's going to be amazing having Frank Frazetta art in this room. And Frank Frazetta art inspired sculpts of those characters. But anyways, when they were developing the game and elements of the game, they did cite the Game of Thrones board game. Now, I don't know if there's more than one, so I don't know if this is exactly the same one, but A Game of Thrones, the board game digital edition, is the digital adaptation of the top-selling strategy board game from Fantasy Flight Games. This game is set after the death of King... do you want spoilers? In the next 10 seconds, I'm going to have spoilers. This game is set up after the death of King Robert Baratheon, which happens pretty early in the series, but it kicks off basically the war for the throne. All right, that's it for the spoilers. Maybe it's old enough that everybody's seen it now, or if you haven't, but still, that stuff happens pretty early in the entire series. It comes with 2 DLC, A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. And this gives you a new house, the Arryns, alternative setup, alternative victory condition, radically different 4-player scenario. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of cool stuff there. Definitely gives longevity to your gaming chair. Terraforming Mars, Hellas and Elysium, and Terraforming Mars Prelude are 2 DLCs that are included with this bundle, as well as Terraforming Mars. What is this? I don't know if this is an existing board game. It is by Asmodee Digital. You control a corporation with a certain profile, play project cards, build up production, place your cities and green areas on the map, and race for milestones and awards. Will your corporation lead the way into humanity's new era? Yes, it is an official adaptation of the cult board game. So it was developed with the help of Jacob Friselius, author of the board game. I'm sure I said that wrong. And it is soloable, so yet another game I get to check out. Something called Enchanted, which looks adorable. I don't want the sound to play. I just want to show off some graphics here, which are going to look very poor because of the resolution. The style here looks amazing. Love the almost Wind Waker-esque look at the characters, although they're not cel-shaded. Now, run a magical inn with friends. Yarul's family inn has been stolen by an evil wizard landlord. To reclaim your family's legacy, you must team up with friends, manage your inn, brew potions, fish, cook, and fight in a magical solo and co-op inn adventure for 1 to 4 players. Love that. Doesn't seem like it was based on a board game, but really love the idea and the look of it and the presentation there. And finally, you'll get Gloomhaven solo scenarios. You're actually just getting a DLC, not the actual game for Gloomhaven, unless you go for the entire 35 item bundle by paying the $20. You'll get all of the stuff that I just talked about, plus Gloomhaven, which puts a net value of $10 on Gloomhaven alone. That is the valuation of this game in this bundle, because the price difference is $10 between this and the other bundle. And the only extra thing you're getting is Gloomhaven, the base game. Now, having said that, I say only thing, but the retail price of Gloomhaven normally on Steam is $34.99. And it is based on the board game. It's an adaptation of the highest rated board game of all time on Board Game Geek. I haven't played Gloomhaven. I have it, but I have not played it yet. It is daunting. It frightens me a bit. The box does, the presentation, the boxes inside, they all kind of spook me a bit. You can play this alone or online co-op for up to 4 players. And each of the 17 unique characters comes with their own skills and more than 1,000 different abilities to master. Oh man. So love that. I think for sure I'm going to have to go for the $20 bundle and get all of these and probably adjust my donation so that I can donate a little more to BCRF. But I definitely want the developers to get their fair share as well because they're doing amazing work making this stuff accessible. And I want to make sure that I help reward folks for making their stuff accessible for these charities. There are other bundles on here, of course, now. And I know this video really became a lot more about shilling somehow for these different bundles, these different developers, games, and so on. But just to kind of be transparent, I've got nothing to do with this website or with any of these developers or any of these games on any official level. I'm just a fan of all of this stuff. And I wanted to make sure everybody knew about Humble Bundle because you can get a lot of stuff for your donation. You can get a lot of stuff for your money. And while it's not really about like trying to get the best deal through charity, you can get a lot of stuff in a way that it was intended to be sold to you by checking this out. And you can donate to a cause, which always feels pretty good. Pirates of the Enchiridion, Adventure Time, Solo Turn-Based RPG, Transformers Battlegrounds, Hotel Transylvania 3, Ben 10, Last Kids on Earth, and the Staff of Doom, DreamWorks Dragons, Dawn of New Riders, Troll Hunters, Ice Age, Scrat's Nutty Adventures, Jumanji, the board game, the video game, based on the movie. Addams Family, Mansion Mayhem, all of these are part of another bundle that's on here, a different bundle called OG, or presented by OG Outright Games, called Heroes of Film and Television in support of UNICEF. If you pay $15, you get a 17-item bundle here, and so on. Watch this space and check it out from time to time. There are digital comic book bundles as well. I know there was one very recently that featured like Vampirella, Dawn, Red Sonja, a lot of those types of comics, the 90s fantasy babes, as it were, and horror babes of the 90s were in that bundle. And they just have a lot of really cool stuff almost all the time. Several years ago, I bought a lot of ebooks that taught me how to manipulate foam for cosplay, armor and stuff. And I've never put any of that to use, but I have them. They're part of my library. And if you're interested in developing video games, they do video game asset bundles as well. They'll do sprites, RPG heroes, graphics, icons, fonts, things like that, background tiles, all of that stuff as well makes its way on here many times. So anyways, just to kind of repose the question, I really like playing HeroQuest on PC. I like playing the Lurchbrick app version. It has a nice little feel all its own. It's not a replacement for the board game to me, but it is its own experience. I really like HeroQuest 2, Legacy of Sorasil, although it has very little to do at all with anything else officially HeroQuest related. But it is an interesting and pretty challenging little game on its own as well. I really like Warhammer Quest, even if I have had some rage moments where I've just died. I've just had my arse handed to me on not even a silver platter, more like a wooden plank that's already been broken in two, and it was overcooked. They didn't even cook it medium rare. They just completely nuked it. And that's happened more than once for sure, and will continue to happen, but I still like the game for what it is. And there are some other board games that I like playing in their digital formats. Another one that's really, really good to play is Dwarf Romantic. The physical edition of Dwarf Romantic was very difficult for Shar and I to get, but we did end up getting it finally, and we've played it many times, and it is a lot of fun. It's very calming, and it has a really cool campaign/progression system that allows you to unlock more components out of the box to get more stuff to do. But the video game is a lot of fun too. And she got the video game and has played it a few times by now. And it has its differences, but you can basically have an infinitely expanding canvas of hexagonal tiles that represent the land, the sea, the forest, the farms, the towns. It's so cool. It's so cool. So anyways, that's it for this BwodeCast. This is coming in a little bit later because I'm testing out some 60 FPS 4K stuff. So maybe it'll be a little more crisp to watch if you're into watching these videos for whatever reason. I hope that you found this to be educational and entertaining and relaxing. And I will, as always, see you tomorrow for Tome Tuesday. I'm still playing the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. We are still going on an epic adventure with Sir Cheese of Pan and Sir Pan of Cake. I had the mouse in mind. I had his pet mouse in mind. Sir Pan, who will go goblin crushing and orc stomping tomorrow for sure. And a little bit of undead smashing. Do a little bit of that as well. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. Comment anything you wish down below. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.